Okay, guys, welcome to another edition of Pirk's View in English again for a while. For once in a while, I would like to firstly introduce two of my amazing guests, Ideja Bajra and Dren Zabeli. Welcome to this amazing episode of Pirk's View podcast.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. I'm honored.
Thank you
Uh,
for having us.
I would like you guys to give a really short introduction about yourselves and a bit about the topic that we will be discussing about in this episode. Because I feel like it's an amazing topic and it's a topic that you won't really find opportunities like this in Kosovo. So when I heard about this project thing, I really got excited about talking for it, because it gives us as students new opportunities to find things that we love and develop them. So, Idea, I will give you the floor firstly.
Thank you so much. My name is Ideja Bajra. I'm a 17-year-old sixth form student here in the UK. So I currently study biology, chemistry, and physics for A level. And I'm hoping to kind of achieve my dream of becoming a scientist by studying biochemistry at university this September. Fingers crossed all goes well with COVID because, but and yeah, I've kind of been in love with science since I was probably about 7 years old, I would say. And it's like kind of rubbing off from my family who've always really loved science. And yeah, I kind of created Based in Science, which is like the main topic of the podcast today, to provide the Kosovar students like you guys of opportunities that I'm so lucky to have had here because I was born here. So I was like, we need to kind of share it and make it bigger and give everyone who has potential the opportunities as well.
That's the biggest flex, by the way. I was born here. I was born in the UK.
Yeah, I was born and raised here.
Dren, I would like to give you the floor as well.
Yeah. So I'm Dren Zabeli. I'm 17 years old, and I'm currently studying at Cevdet High School. I'm in 11th grade, and I really like STEM. I like physics, and I've had uh, attended a few physics competitions. I haven't been very successful at those, but yeah, I like physics. I've been in love with physics since I was like a little kid. I saw magnets. I really was like amazed from magnets, like how tiny, like rectangle things could attract each other. And yeah, I've been in love with physics ever since.
Fun fact, I'm also really good at physics. One of my high school teachers, actually my class teacher, was a physics teacher. So he it really inspired us to study physics, and to this day, it's not that my main topic of study is physics, but it's one of those topics that I really love studying because it's actually really fun to know how physics works because it's one of the most important natural sciences in my opinion. But to get to the main topic, based in science, I would like to know where did the idea for based in science start? And Idea, since you started this whole thing, I would like to address you with the question: what was the idea behind the founding of Based in Science? What was the main goal? What is it trying to achieve? And has it had any difficulties or troubles throughout this time?
Yeah, so Based in Science was a crazy, crazy idea I had. So initially, it was just like a little biology day event because the Royal Society of Biology was having a week where we would celebrate biology in different forms. And so I saw there was no events in my area to do anything with biology. And obviously, that being my favorite topic, I had to do something to kind of share the love of biology in my local area. And this only started in the UK initially. And then I kind of thought, after doing a really successful event, we had like over 1,000 people attend, and my tiny little hall was kind of overwhelmed with loads of people coming in. And after doing that, my teacher kind of pulled me aside and she was like, you really have like a talent for this. You should probably expand on it and do something. And because she saw the passion I kind of had to kind of encourage more youth into STEM and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I need to think about this. What can I do more? And then my dad suggested kind of turning it into a non-profit. So I thought that might take a bit of work aside from school. I don't know if I can manage. But then I actually managed to do it. And it started just with the UK, where I was only doing like events and things for the UK, giving resources and stuff like that. A lot of in-person events. This was pre-COVID in like 2019. And then I thought, okay, there's something more. Like I'm missing something. There's something missing. And so after hearing loads and loads of stories when I came to Kosovo in the summer, loads of my cousins were like, look, we're doing this, we have no opportunities, we can't do anything. So I was like, okay, that's my market. So what I did was I decided to kind of turn the non-profit into a combined thing. So doing the UK and Kosovo into kind of like, yeah, like a whole non-profit, like building a smaller community.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where the idea started. In terms of the goal for it, it was to give especially Kosovar students the opportunity to see the world out there, because I know you guys are quite isolated and very limited, and you have to travel through visas and things like that, and you can't just be as free as us in the diaspora can, and how lucky we are. So the goal was kind of to for them to see, like, or you guys to see the world and to see the different opportunities of STEM that are available. So it's not just very limited. You have kind of a wide range that you've probably never explored because you've never been able to. So that was the goal for that. And we've done quite a few events. So we had a long mentoring session for 5 weeks, and it was where kind of like every day sort of I was hosting these events where Kosovar students were coming and joining these Zoom sessions, hearing PhD researchers talk in English just so they could, like, develop the skills, and that's very amazing. We've had like a few other different in-person events I've done here with the biology day and other different like chemistry days as well. And the challenges I faced, it was juggling it with school. That was the worst part for me, because I had to kind of dedicate time to schoolwork and being able to do it at the same time, and like kind of lead and learn the skills of leadership, because I myself am not a natural leader. So it was learning and still learning along the way. But otherwise, it's been a blessing, definitely.
Mhm. So you said that you guys initially started only in the UK. I'm gonna have to put on these glasses. It's really getting annoying. 1 second. So it's firstly you said that you guys only started in the UK, and after you visited Kosovo here, and you got and your cousins told you about the sad reality of the stuff happening here, that you decided to expand based in science not only in UK but also in Kosovo. I'd like to know where did you start working with based in science, Dren? Like, what was your initiative behind working with them? Because as a person from Kosovo, you don't hear many people working with foreign, basically, organizations or nonprofits, as Ideja mentioned.
Yeah,
So
that's quite
yeah,
interesting. Oh, sorry, go on.
Feel free. This is
Go on, go on.
I don't know.
this is a safe
Okay,
place to speak, and it's also
so
non not. I mean, it's not really strict about its rules. So basically, just feel free to talk about whatever you guys feel into. I know it's really difficult to holding a podcast online because, of course, the resources and stuff. But during this pandemic, this is the best I could come up with.
yeah, it's enough. I mean, it's better than enough. It's great. Yeah, so I first heard about Based in Science like in Instagram. I was looking through my feed and I just saw like this event that Based in Science had. Then I really liked it, and then I wrote to Dea like, I like this initiative. I want to be a part of it. I think I can do this and that, and she responded very like positively. And then, well, the rest is history. I mean, I'm a part of Based in Science now, and I am a content creator. I basically like find topics and different interesting, I don't know, facts
Oh
to
yeah.
talk about and explore in STEM.
So, as a student from Kosovo, how does this impact your field of study essentially? Because for most high school students, it's really hard to find something that you want to study. I personally faced this issue last year. I mean, not to that extent, but I know students that still to this day doubt their topic of study. So I'd like to know, how did this impact your guys' perception on the field you would like to study? Because it's really important. I mean, most people say that university is not the end of the world, it's not the most important thing that will decide your life. But I still think that it's an important enough factor to have a really huge impact on your life.
So
Uh,
yeah, so
yeah, Drania, I will give you the floor first, basically.
Yeah. So I think that in Kosovo, because I cannot speak for like the UK people, but in Kosovo, mainly people know what they want to study, but the problem is that they like, I don't know, overthink about it because it's always like the employment, what you can do after graduating. Do you really like, is that diploma really going to be useful after you graduate? Because in STEM, mainly, there's not a lot of opportunities in Kosovo. And since there are not a lot of opportunities, basically you just have spent like 4 years of your life doing something that hasn't really been like useful to you. And a lot of times when people go to college, they think like, yeah, college degree equals like a job. That's basically how I think we in Kosovo look at colleges in general.
I mean, for us as people living in Kosovo, that's actually kind of the sad truth behind it, because the paper, the diploma, has more actual value than the skills of a person. But nevertheless, I would like to know about your opinions on this idea, because essentially, how did this impact your thinking about your field of study? Are you actually more confident in what you want to study in college?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always kind of known from when I was like 11 years old. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do biochemistry. I don't know why, but it was like a calling to me. So kind of seeing the lack of opportunities that I've come across with people like you guys, it's further reinforced the idea that I'm just so lucky to have been born abroad, because here, like, you really take it for granted. You see the students here and they moan about, oh, we have to go to university, like, oh, all of that stuff. But then you think like, I've been so lucky to be able to compare it and to see you guys are kind of even struggling to find good opportunities, and we have them literally on the table and we can just pick and choose. So it's kind of, you really don't, like, it's very underestimated over here how kind of important it is to compare and to see that, look, it shouldn't be just clouded vision. Like, you should open your eyes and see other people would literally kill to be in your position. So that's why, you know, it's kind of it's been very good for me to be able to compare that and to sit back and think, yeah, I'm definitely lucky.
See, the thing is, essentially, I was really lucky as well. When I was in my first year of my high school studies, I came across a program private school. It's kind of like a course, a side course you take besides school. And I actually wanted to attend just to see what it was like. I can say that to this day, it has impacted my decision in my field of study, which I'm currently studying robotics here in University of Pristina, but with a goal to study abroad and expand my knowledge further. So, us as Kosovo students, most of students here actually try and study abroad because it gives us more of an opportunity to learn like quality European studies and also to get to know the culture. This is really important because us here in Kosovo have a really deep and really old culture. So we try to understand what makes us special, essentially, from other places. So when you think about it, it's we look for opportunities to grow in person, but also find new things in the society, either culturally or basically something social, a social event. I remember when I was like in my second year of studies, I had a really amazing opportunity to visit France with a few of my friends, and that was my first time I ever held a public speech, which is really hard. Now I do this podcast, I do debates, as Dren knows. That was actually the place we met in one of the debate center's activities. We had a really good comic debate, but I feel like it's really important for students to discover new opportunities and grow. So I would like to know about more about the opportunities that Based in Science gave to students, not only in the UK but also in Kosovo or wherever the students are from.
Yeah, so initially we started with, like I mentioned before, a mentoring session. So this was back in the summer of 2020. This was before I had a team or anything. This was like my crazy sort of idea, kind of. And what I did was I paired 100 students from Kosovo with PhD researchers here. And it was one-to-one. And I will never do that again because I was so stressful. And I had to I had to manage everything and pair everyone. but I mean, that gave me kind of the boost to confirm this is what I want to do. But it was amazing. The PhD researchers were so impressed. They were from like universities in Cambridge, they were from Edinburgh, they were from Oxford, and they were so impressed and like taken aback because they'd never heard of Kosovo or of kind of the idea that there's like they were bilingual because they were speaking like perfect English. So that was something like that was really breakthrough. And then like a month ago we had some more mentoring sessions, but instead it was like a lecture kind of. So one mentor would kind of talk and give various different PowerPoints and information, and then the students would kind of like gain more knowledge about the career, what they want to do, ask questions. That was really good as well. We had like 1,000 sign-ups for that.
So essentially, it was an opportunity for students to basically find what they want to study, their field of study, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And also had, as I understood, not only students from the UK, but also students from Kosovo.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to know more about the students of Kosovo because we as people are really skeptical. Like when an opportunity comes by us, we're really skeptical people. It's in our nature. So, firstly, I'd like to know more about Dren's perspective on this and what activities he participated in, and also how did Kosovo students basically apply for this? What were their ideals for this training? Basically, were they open about holding this training? Were they skeptical at first? Did they have doubts? Did they have fears? Because most people really get anxious when it comes to meeting new people, especially in a training session. And also when the person who's holding the training essentially opens their mic and says, okay, let's introduce ourselves, most people just panic right there. I did that once just as a joke, and half of my audience panicked. So yeah, I'd like to know Dren's perspective first. How did how was your first based in science experience?
Well, basically, I think that it was a very helpful experience. I didn't really attend a lot of the activities because I have recently heard about. I didn't know like based in science until a month ago. So that was kind of when I really started about knowing about based in science because here in Kosovo, really, it's kind of hard to like find opportunities and because people are really concentrated in different things. So when I found based in science, I really was kind of excited. And I think that I attended like 2 or 3 mentoring sessions, and those were about I think biology and physics. And I found them very helpful because it's really uh, information coming directly from somebody who has experienced like the process of studying, the process of attending to that university. I mean, all the way. I mean, these are really educated that have studied hard, that have PhDs, that know what they're talking about. It's not just like some random guy on YouTube trying to make a video. These are people who actually have like dedicated their life and careers to these certain topics, and they are actually pretty helpful because they didn't just talk about the topic in specific, but they actually talked about their own experiences. And I think that was pretty helpful and pretty eye-opening in a way because not everybody was so confident like, oh yeah, I know I'm very good at physics and I've always been very good at physics or something. The process was not that easy. It's not like everybody has been born a genius. People become like hard workers and achieve what they wanted to achieve.
Hmm. So essentially, you're saying that no one's born a genius, but practice makes perfect. I mean, the thing is, I was gonna make a really bad pun here, but never mind. First of all, I'd like to know about how Kosovo students. What was the Kosovo students' stand on this training session? On these training sessions, I'm sorry. Uh, did you get to meet them personally, either online or know them in person? And because, as I said, we're really skeptical people, and when you give us a really big opportunity like this, at least to even familiarize ourselves with a field of study, most of these students will pass because A, they will either feel embarrassed, or B, they'll be really anxious to the point where they're like, okay, I'm just gonna drop it. Like, I know this opportunity comes only once in a lifetime, but I'll just drop it, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, they kind of came with masses. They were signing up with masses, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, it was a lot of students who were younger as well, so maybe between the ages of like 14 to 15. They were kind of like so hungry for the opportunity, as I like to say. And it was just so interesting to see how interested they were. So they were, because they had to fill up like a form to kind of sign in. And then I afterwards decided to meet them and exchange with them. So enthusiastic and so passionate. Like it kind of made me realize that this is like why I want to do this, because I see how passionate they are and how much I can give to them with like the experiences abroad. So I feel like they took it so well, and they weren't shy at all. They were asking questions like crazy, and they were so like enthusiastic about it. So it impressed all of the mentors.
So essentially, you're telling me that these students were open to this opportunity, not shy away from it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess things have changed ever since I was a student because I remember I was a really shy kid. And
I can relate to that.
I
I'm sorry
mean,
for.
nah, it's okay. The thing is, it's funny because when I tell people that I used to struggle with social anxiety, people are like, "What? You do public speaking to this day, and you're the guy who had social anxiety?" I was like, things happen. But still, I really like the idea behind students going to these training sessions and finding out what they like and what they want to study. Because you never know, one of these training sessions might inspire a person to start something. Fun fact, the debate centers, debate activities during the pandemic kind of inspired my podcast as well, my online podcast. I also mentioned this in my episode with Dan and Raisa from the debate center. But thing is, you never know when an opportunity will lead to something more. For example, I'm a guy who studies robotics, which is basically a nerd science, if you would say. A guy just standing in front of a computer coding. You would think of a guy who plays video games all day. You wouldn't think of a guy who just goes live and just shows his face, holds public speakings. And the thing is, um, this doesn't make me special because anyone could do this. Anyone could pick a field and excel at it. I may be really good at public speaking. You guys may really be good at physics, biology, and given the opportunity, you guys might even outshine. You know, you might outshine people and essentially just have a place to show your spotlight and do what you love. Because it's really demotivating when you do something and no one really has the pleasure to see it. For example, I used to have this really fear when starting out that people would make fun of me, and of course they did. Everyone starting something new gets made fun of. But with time, it's gonna like in 3 or 4 months, it'll be a year since I started with this podcast. This is episode 29, I think. And essentially, when starting out, I never thought I'd really reach this milestone. I never really thought I'd have international guests, to be honest with you. And I never thought I'd be discussing some of the topics I've discussed. So it's really nice hearing that you guys give an opportunity to the students, you know?
Definitely, I agree. And I think it's a chance for them to kind of like meet new people as well. It's like an international community as well.
You have no idea how many friends I've made through this podcast. The amount of people I've texted to be guests in my podcast. The amount of people that actually texted me back. Funny story when making friends. It's not a surprising news that I am starting to give away free stickers for my podcast. I've shown them in my page multiple times. The amount of people that actually texted that they want the stickers. They were like, "Hey, I'm really sorry, I don't know you, but I kind of like your podcast and I want a sticker." I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, you know, inspiring people to reach out, even to people they might not necessarily know." That came out bad. To people that they might not necessarily know about a topic that they might share in common. So I think that you guys give a really good opportunity to students, not only in the UK but also here in Kosovo. Because I mean, thing is that activities here exist, but not in the way you would think. There are some topics that there's a lack of them. For example, science. I don't know many science trainings held here. I know of a lot of public speaking trainings that were held here. Dren also knows of them.
Yeah.
But I would like to know your guys' opinion on this whole situation. Like, what do you think about the students that are given the opportunity firsthand? What was your experience with them? How do you think it will impact them in the near or even the far future, in fact?
Do you want me
I'll
to answer?
Yeah, I'll give you the floor first. I don't really mind.
Okay. So I think it's been kind of like a blessing for them in a way, because they've kind of opened their eyes as well, like especially the Kosovar students and the UK students have kind of, I think both, like it's an interchangeable thing, because they've realized, yeah, we're lucky, we should like actually appreciate what we have. And then Kosovar students are like, kind of, it's interesting to see them develop international friendships. And I feel like from experience, from what I'm seeing, it's had like a really positive impact, like especially with the rest of the team, the rest of the girls and the two other boys who are on the team. They are really kind of happy to do this and they jumped at the opportunity to join. So I think, yeah.
So, as a student from Kosovo who is currently with Based in Science, Dreni, I would like to know your opinion on this, your field of view, essentially. Like, how do you think this will impact you in the near future, or even the far future, to be extent?
I think people like always dream to do something. Like everybody like thinks about, oh, I'm gonna become like an engineer. I'm gonna become a mathematician. I'm gonna become this or that. But people really do not plan on becoming like achieving their dreams until they actually see somebody that has achieved that thing. I mean, if you, from the moon, you actually see somebody like who has become a successful physicist, successful mathematician, engineer. You realize that, oh, this is not really that abstract or that much of a dream. This is actually something that I can do too. This is something that, I mean, it's actually tangible, something that we can all achieve. And I think that really gave me confidence to pursue STEM, because I always thought that always very tough, only for like geniuses and stuff. But I guess that yeah, it pretty much gave me the confidence to like move forward and choose a STEM career.
So, essentially, you don't really need to have master knowledge over science to be a part of, well, in fact, Based in Science. So you don't really need to be an expert in the field of science. I'm really sorry, my mouth got a little messed up there. So you don't really need to be an expert in the field of science just to participate in a few of your guys' activities, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's kind of, especially if you want to just develop skills and you're interested in learning something new, then you can still join.
Thing is, I have a few math exams coming up, so I might actually need some help from that for that. But all jokes aside, I really like your guys' initiative because thing is, when you hear about non-profits, you mostly think something like my podcast. To be honest, you don't really think about some people holding out trainings for science fields, because with my field of work, essentially my podcast, I have had to meet a lot of people, a lot of organizations, some famous, some not that, some small organizations, big organizations. But this is the first time I'm hearing about something that gives the opportunity to students who want to study science. Because a lot of people think that science is outdated. When you think of physics, when you think of chemistry, you're like, those were like 20 years ago, that would have been cool. But now we have computers, we have programming, which that's what I'm into. But you don't really hear students that are like, yay, chemistry or yay, maths. Fun fact, a lot of students hate maths. Sometimes even I do, even though it's one of my main subjects. But yeah, it's really interesting to see and hear new opportunities given to us as students from Kosovo, essentially.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, just to, I don't know, just to combine and create a bigger community. Because it's like the idea of kind of removing the curtain and like seeing, look, there's more out there and you can do so much more. You don't need to think you're just isolated on this small place. Like
You
there's
don't
so
need
much
a
more.
visa to travel and to hold to be a part of a training for science
Exactly.
purposes. That's one of the main problems us people in Kosovo face. Dren would also agree.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that you guys really give a good opportunity, and I would like to ask that you guys plan on holding physical activities in the near future. Hopefully, if this COVID situation ends.
Yeah, definitely. So, because I'm currently in the UK and I'll be finished with school very soon, so I'm hoping to come to Kosovo for like a longer amount of time if everything goes well with COVID, and hopefully like to see everyone I've been interacting with because I haven't met half these people in real life. So, it'll be interesting to kind of see them and to interact with them properly and to see all of the community that we've kind of built slowly, slowly.
Hmm. Do you would be really excited to come here and meet the people you've interacted with and held so many training sessions with, right?
Exactly, exactly.
How about holding a physical session in the UK for us? Have you actually thought
That
of that?
I was thinking of that, but I don't know how much of a challenging task that will be. So I have to put some more thought into it. But in the near future, yes, definitely.
It warms my heart to see people that create something to help other people, essentially to see that people in middle school, such as, because I was in middle school when I started this podcast, to see, or we call it middle school, you could also say high school. It's kind of the same, it's the same thing here. I don't want people to get confused. High school, it's really nice to see people in high school do a lot of these activities, because I am a fan of the theory that the younger you start doing something, the better the outcome will be. For example, sometimes I think to myself, what if I started doing this a lot earlier? Would I have faced my challenges a lot differently? Maybe I would have been in a higher spot, maybe even a lower spot. You never know. But the thing is, it really warms my heart to see people like this giving out opportunities not to their own students in their country, but also students in Kosovo, which, as we said throughout this podcast, is sometimes limited, sadly. So I would like to thank you guys, actually, first of all, for giving this amazing opportunity. And secondly, I'd like to thank both of you for reaching out and being able to be guests in my podcast, even though it's not that late actually, but still, I would like to thank you guys for making time to come to this episode, to come to this show, if I may say so myself.
Thank you for letting us share our story.
And
Thank you.
essentially, I would like to end this amazing podcast episode right here, because, as I said, I've learned a lot of new things here. I've learned, first of all, based in science, and I myself am saying this on camera, I will participate personally on training that will be held, because, no, I mean it, because I really am intrigued of this. I really want to know a lot more about based in science, and what better way to know about it than to be a part of the training myself. This training is also open to everyone who would like to participate, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we're going to do more in the future as the time goes by. Because the February and January ones were all finished, but we'll do more.
So, where will people be able to apply for these sessions for the people watching?
Yeah, so this will be on the Based in Science Instagram, and that's where we post all of the information on there, posts, links as well.
Okay. So, thank you guys again for making time and joining this podcast. And this is where I'd like to end this amazing episode of Pirk's podcast, an episode hosted in English. Which, fun fact, I used to do English episodes before, so it's really been a blast to take it back in time. So, for the viewers out there, thank you guys for tuning in, and till we see you guys next time.